Good morning, everybody. Thank you for joining us here today for an exclusive look at FEMA's first ever National Tribal Strategy. I'm really excited about this, and as many of you are doing the important work of keeping tribal communities informed and making sure that tribal stories and perspectives are heard, I thought it was really important for all of you to get a first look at this strategy, which was developed in very close consultation with many of the tribes that you cover. I'd like to start by taking a quick moment to thank Bambi Kraus, who's joining us here today. Bambi is FEMA's National Tribal Affairs Advisor, and she was instrumental in making this a reality. It was Bambi's vision that really helped to develop the strategy and coordinate all of the tribal input that went into its final product. Bambi, unfortunately, can't be with me here in person today, but she is out on the road supporting some tribal engagements as we speak that are taking place this week and next week. And I'd also like to give a shout out to our Tribal FEMA Employee Resource Group. They also helped to create and ensure that cultural sensitivity was incorporated throughout the strategy. I am hopeful, and all of us here at FEMA are hopeful that you will help us get the word out to your respective communities and share the details about this strategy, as well as the work that FEMA is doing to better engage tribal communities. This has been one of my top priorities as administrator, and I know that we have a lot of work to do in serving our tribal nations. So we greatly appreciate all of you being here today to help share this agency-wide development that is going to help us serve tribal communities better. We understand tribes are sovereign entities, and we respect their special status as identified by the U.S. Constitution and decades of treaties, executive orders, and federal laws. We also understand that tribal nations face unique and enduring hardships. FEMA can only be successful when our programs are fully accessible in a practical sense. That's why we will strive to deliver assistance in new ways to meet their unique needs. So I'll give you some examples. We have set aside $50 million in our Building Resilient Infrastructure and Communities, or BRIC grant funding, to help tribal communities become more resilient to climate change and extreme weather events. Earlier this month, when the McKinney fire was affecting Northern California, I also had the opportunity to check in with two of the impacted tribes, the Karuk tribe and the Quartz Valley tribe, in FEMA's Region 9 on the status of their tribal communities. We will continue to have these important conversations with tribes across the nation before, during, and after disasters. We also heard from tribal nations that they want to see FEMA in the field. To that end, our FEMA teams are out there. Today, our team in Region 9 will be hosting a tribal workshop that begins today and is taking place in Reno, Nevada for the next several days. 55 tribes have registered to attend, along with state emergency management partners from Arizona, California, and Nevada. Also happening this week, our Region 5 administrator is going to be meeting tribal emergency management officials and attending the Mille Lacs Band of the OBGY powwow. Next week, our folks in Region 7 will be conducting a tribal summit. These types of relationships have been critical for the work that we do here at FEMA and across the emergency management community. We have heard directly from tribal leaders about the government-to-government relationship between the federal government and our tribal nations. Our work today and into the future is an embodiment of a federal relationship that goes back hundreds of years and will endure well into the future. This tribal strategy is designed to further acknowledge this special relationship by enhancing FEMA's capacity to work with tribal nations more effectively and make sure that tribal equities are addressed by a trained and culturally sensitive workforce. This is just one example of what we hope to achieve with this ambitious strategy. This work, it builds on FEMA's commitment to advancing equity and meeting people where they are. Every day, our workforce is advancing its cultural competency across all cultures, and we hope this focus will resonate with everyone who interacts with FEMA and our work. So before we get to your questions, I'd like to share just a few items from the strategy that I am particularly excited about. First, I'd like to tell you a little bit about how this strategy came to be. Not only is the strategy a result of extensive tribal consultation, but it is also a culmination of tribal perspectives that have been shared with FEMA over several years. That was our starting point. And as I mentioned earlier, our tribal affairs team here at headquarters and our regional tribal liaisons based across the country then work directly with communities across Indian country to get their feedback and inform the draft tribal strategy. With that critical feedback in hand, we were able to finalize a tribal strategy that builds upon our goals that we outlined in our 2022-2026 strategic plan to advance equity, to lead the whole of community and climate resilience, and to promote and sustain a ready FEMA and a prepared nation. To achieve these goals, our national strategy seeks to, first, develop tribal-specific technical assistance resources, to provide tribal nation leadership with an annual update on our progress in implementing this strategy, and then offer training opportunities to tribal nations to help increase disaster readiness. They're just a few of the objectives that are outlined in the tribal strategy that I am really proud of. But I will pause now so we can dig into any questions that you might have about the strategy itself. Thank you again for joining us here today.